Sam's landing makes me question the suit's capabilities. What exactly allows him to land this hard on his own knees?
Oh, it is so not practical.
Shouldn't coming to a dead stop with that kind of momentum at the ground discombobulate his brain at the very least? Much of Sam's moves feel like a take on Steve Rogers, but the choreography and editing makes it all feel sloppy and lacking spice. Gus is back as the most stereotypical villain in his opening scene. His name is apparently Sidewinder. I somehow missed that on my first watch. The sound the shield makes when it bashes somebody sometimes sounds like the sound effect that you hear in the cartoons. Anthony tries to hold his own as the heroic, tactical, and sometimes witty CQC warrior, but the material just doesn't do him enough favors. Sidekick forced silliness. Please no.
Who's saying that? Everybody. Everybody is saying that.
When all hell breaks loose and Sam and his partner Joaquin use their training and abilities, one of the president's guards joins the fight, and apparently she has powers? I thought she was a villain at first. Sometimes the editing really annoys me, especially during the action with a lot of unnecessary cuts to different angles. In a scene between Sam, Ross, and the bodyguard with apparent superpowers Ruth, she tries to act very intense and she unnecessarily strains her voice in a weird way when she speaks, and I find it very distracting. The movie likes to focus in on her when she speaks, but it's hard to take her seriously when all I can hear is Violet from The Incredibles trying to act tough. There are a lot of choices made in this film that do not help the plot at all. I kinda like Isaiah's performance. The neighborhood street ambush by Sidewinder is nice. And then Sidewinder starts monologuing for no reason during their fight. Well, now I know my suspicion was correct, and the Marvel cinematic formula doesn't lie. There always seems to be a warm up villain in the first third of their movies. Lots of filler, lots of nothing dialogue to fill the time. It feels like the Blue Beetle could take this movie on. I'd like to update this. I just saw the Blue Beetle, and I can confirm, while not great, it is much better. Marginally better, in fact. Some of these action sequences look like they came straight out of a YouTube video. I feel as though they gave this lady a lot of attention and power to try to have their cake and eat it too. They wanted to avoid the obvious criticisms of how they handled the believability in some of their fight sequences, while also having what they really want. The way it plays out and the line she cracks at the beginning, it's corny, and it's like we're watching a Super Bowl ad. It's giving me Captain Marvel energy. She tries so hard to act intense in every scene she's in, and it's embarrassing. Again, all I hear is Violet, the infectious sound like Kingsman. Why wasn't it used on Sam in the beginning? Why doesn't it affect them when they hear it, but it affects everyone else around them? What are the rules? President Ross has an angry outburst, slamming his fist onto the marble table in front of him and cracking it. Instead of being embarrassed for a tantrum from the president, the scene is played as if something deep just happened. And yes, I saw the trailers. Most of us did. There's no surprise as to what this is building to. I just find it silly how anger and power get held to such high regards with these films. The sentiment feels childish. Why do the cast that Marvel chooses nowadays always look like a band of misfits and act like a bunch of jackasses? This feels like Captain America from Wish. The celestial body from the Eternals feels shoved in, and its introduction I find hilarious with its overdramatic music. Okay, surfing a rocket is a lot to take in, and it dropped all weight of the tension the scene was attempting to build. Joaquin Icarus symbolism. When the main villain is in Ross's ear over the headset, can Ross not take off his headset while being driven mad by the guy on the other end? And when Ross is saved, why does the bad guy react that way? There's an awful lot of questionable physics in these action sequences. Bucky appears, and it's nice to have him around. Anthony Mackie actually isn't so bad. But most things about this movie's writing and execution are so generic, it hurts his efforts to be taken a little more seriously. I'm annoyed at how much they try to show her off as powerful in the beginning just to show her in office settings for the rest of the movie. Take your action scenes out, or just a whole character, and I'm willing to wager nothing plot-wise would be changed. Good guy soldier's death is unfortunate. Wait, how did the bad guy get there? When did he... How does this guy get around? Looking the way he does, with no one spotting him or stopping him. He's had to drop on multiple people at high security places before security ever even shows up, if they do at all. Ross's Red Hulk has its moments, but the idea of the president being a Hulk is conceptually something I find really goofy, while it also sounds like something straight out of a wacky comic issue. The helicopter pilots fighting Red Hulk are not smart. Why does that location for the final fight between Sam and Red Hulk look like a Street Fighter stage? When Ross first transforms, his shirts are in tatters and the edges are singed as if his skin is burning red hot. And that's it. There's nothing else in the movie that alludes to the idea of his skin being red hot, so I'm left confused. I thought they were gonna do more with that. So, Brainiac gave himself up. Ross hulked out and crashed out. And what else was supposed to be happening in this generic, cheesy, corny movie? Ah, they dragged Liv Tyler into this. That got a chuckle out of me. It's nice to see. Been a long time. Hope they paid well. Sam has what's supposed to be a heartfelt conversation with his knucklehead rookie friend, Joaquin, who's in a hospital bed. The scene tries to be more endearing than it really is. At least it's not as bad as the hard-to-watch final scene from that Will Smith movie, Bright. The chemistry attempts to be existent and emotional, but I can only see this guy Joaquin as Jimmy from Independence Day. Again, Anthony Mackie is alright. I feel like he's trying to respect the spirit of the role, but put a bit of himself into it, which I'm not mad at. The problem really lies more with the writing, directing, editing, casting, villains, and characters, so almost everything else with this movie. The after credit scene. Yawn. It's a certain villain, I'll let you guess, behind bars, trying to sound creepy. More are coming. Will you be ready? There. Saved you 5 minutes of an internet search. So that was a goofy movie. It wanted to be a mix of a lot of things, but it can't let go of the things that mislead its focus. It feels like a special rather than a full-fledged Captain America film. Some of the earlier fights range from meh to downright sloppy, especially with the editing and choreography being so slow. However, it did get notably better as the movie progressed, rubber Disney Marvel physics be damned. If I may be honest, and this may be a hot take, I find this film very cheesy, corny, and generic. There's sparkles of something nice that glimmer like happy little accidents, but the movie's focus isn't entirely where I think it should be, or at least I'd say they have a way of proudly getting in their own way of reaching higher potentials for their narratives and storytelling. I'd heard a lot of things about each of the failed screenings over the last 2 years or so, and it shouldn't have surprised me, but that's kind of what I do. I try to let things surprise me, and boy, did this film not surprise me. So, yeah, it was pretty bad. It's not exactly She Hulk bad, where it's painful to watch and actively trying to harm you and your senses, but more of a Sony bad, where they've gotten comfortable with their own weirdnesses and transparent formula. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my confusion and frustration with this film. I've tried to record this video probably 3 times now, and I've had strange technical issues and anomalies. But finally, I've gotten it done, and I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a like and subscribe if you've at all enjoyed the content and would like to see more like this. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time.